Good evening, and welcome to my talk show, Get Ignited. My name is Christine Ranck, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and I have a wonderful guest on my show, and I hope that anyone who's out there watching will get on camera and ask questions and participate as much as you would like. I want to, first of all, thank the organization and the incredible technology of Yakit.com, which has made this talk show possible. And if you can imagine that a person can be anywhere in the world and get on live onto a talk show like this one and talk to the people who are on the show, it's mind-boggling. And so I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to learn how to use it and use it as effectively as I can by bringing great information to our audience and great guests. And in that light, I want to introduce my guest tonight, whose name, she is a very dear friend and a colleague of mine. Her name is Whitney Ferre, and I'm going to tell you about her. She is a nationally recognized creativity coach and author of 2 books, The Artist Within, A Guide to Becoming Creatively Fit, and also 33 Things to Know About Raising Creative Kids. She has presented internationally at creativity conferences all over the world, and she leads her Creatively Fit classes around the country and online at creativelyfit.com. And Whitney and I had a wonderful time delivering a workshop at Esalen Institute last year around this time. And ever since then, we've been doing projects together, and so I'm just delighted to have her, and I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Christine. This is so much fun. And, you're in New York, and I'm in Oregon, and how much fun is it to be able to get together and just chat like we're, sitting down for coffee or a glass of wine or something. So thank you for having me on the show. And I guess I will just start by explaining a little bit about Creatively Fit and my background because it usually gives people a lot of hope. and so I'd love to share. So Creatively Fit is about empowering you to create the change that you want to see in your world, in your life. And we use art making as the vehicle. Just like if you wanted to get physically fit, you might go to the gym or a yoga class or Pilates. If you want to get creatively fit, where you are a creative, innovative person, we just need to work out your right brain muscle. And we do that with simple art activities. And they're so simple that when I started my career as a creativity guru, right, I had not taken an art class since my sophomore year in high school. That was in '96 in Nashville. I was 26 years old, and I did not have a lick of art background. I opened an art center called the Creative Fitness Center. It was, in my mind, kind of like the YMCA for art, right? And people came in who were complete beginners because I was a beginner, really, and you tend to attract, right? Like attracts like, and I would get them over the fear of making their mark, and then they'd go back out into the art that is their life and start making their mark there. Little marks, big marks, doesn't matter. What was important is that they would come back into my art center with their eyes all like this, and guess what I did? And I've been meaning to do it forever. And so what happened before is all those great ideas got stuck because they were just filtering it through their left brain voice. The left brain is fear-based, so anything unknown is going to be scary, and your left brain is going to really caution you about any new activity. It's going to remind you of any time you've ever tried something new and failed before. It's going to remind you of all the reasons why it might not work, why you're not qualified, why, it doesn't make sense. It's all about logic and the facts, and it is your past, and it worries about the future. And so when they came to the Creative Fitness Center, and started doing the art workouts, they tapped into their right brain voice, which is completely present and is the opposite of fear-based. It's love-based, and it's like nothing bad can happen. Take the first steps. So because it's completely present, it doesn't get hung up on that big picture of the end result that can cause you to get nervous about, I'm so far from that end vision that I couldn't possibly get there. So it focuses on the here and now and what you have at your disposal, all the different opportunities you have, and it will encourage you to make that phone call or take that class or book the ticket, whatever it is. And so that's what leads to change, is so many small itty-bitty steps. And that's what people get better and better at doing as they get creatively fit. So I have just had the immense joy of being able to, partner with people as they go on this journey from like, oh, I can't, it'll never work, I'm not qualified, to I am going for it. And so that is just the greatest gift, to see people light up and really align with more of who they really are, because we're meant to have both sides of our brain participating. We need the logic, and we need to protect ourselves from certain things. But Christine and I are saying the same thing, that it's all within you, and we have the ability to tune in and access this infinite creative potential, and we both want to help you do that. So it's a blast, and I'm excited to be here today with you and whoever else is out there.
Yes, and I think you and I are in agreement that right now we're very much out of balance for any number of reasons. We're out of balance. The whole world, in terms of our perspective, is out of balance, but also as a result of that, we've gotten more and more left brain, logical, and trapped in kind of rules and regulations and bureaucracy and issues that seem impossible to solve, and it's all very left brain and complex, and can feel very hopeless. And so the idea of getting back into balance, which includes doing the kind of work that you do, and getting the two hemispheres, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, right brain and left brain, much more in tune with one another and communicating better, that will help us to make kind of more broader decisions and see the world in a much bigger framework than we tend to see it now. So I know that we're in agreement. And the other thing I just want to say is that Whitney at Esalen, when we did our workshop together, Whitney taught me how to paint, and that felt like, to me, it was absolutely impossible. It was impossible that I could paint, and not only did she get me to paint, but it actually looks pretty good. So while you're talking, I'm gonna show the painting that I came up with at the end, and it's quite beautiful in the sense you won't be able to tell from looking at it, but there are many layers of paint in it, and there's gold leaf in it, and it's just a very kind of whimsical version of a horse. But I think that it really looks like a horse in spite of the colors and everything. It's so cool. It's one of my proudest moments. So thank you, honey. And I'm going to give the camera back to you.
Yeah, this is so fun. So, I teach people to paint, not so that you can quit your job and become a full-time artist and hang your work in galleries and all that. If that happens, fabulous. That's your version of the change you want to create in your world. But the thing is painting, because it's so scary for so many people, because just like Christine, I could never paint, I cannot do that, my sister inherited all the creative genes. Because of that, when I teach you how to paint, it unleashes all of these other dreams and things that you've always told yourself I can't do. And because your subconscious mind, chunks information together, it goes back to all the different things that you've always wanted to do that you didn't think you could do, and it starts reevaluating, and it says, well, maybe you could do this. You've been telling yourself you can't paint. You can paint. You've been telling yourself you can't start that business. You can't start, you can. And so the painting is simply the vehicle. It's a portal. I love that word, a portal. It takes you into a totally different space, and in that new space, you are different. And in our case, you are empowered, you are stronger, better able to take the little steps you need to create the change. So I have to say, I am teaching my painting workshops. I'm teaching at the end of this month, on March 31st and April 1st in Washington, D.C. Very excited about that. And then in April, I am going to be at the retreat that I have been co-creating with Bill Olson called The Journey in Portland, Oregon. And I am going to be teaching a 8-hour painting journey so that you can come to the most amazing retreat and learn the whole painting journey and be able to experience it for yourself live and in person, or the online courses at creativelyfit.com, of course. But anyway, so and I'm excited. We have a guest. Susan's here. Susan is an artist. She and I are doing the artist Angels in My Studio project. And it is an online program with 12 amazing artists, I believe, including Susan and myself and some others. And you can learn more from us. And you probably know the website. Sherry Ponzi put it together. And so, anyway, I'm excited, Susan, that you're here.
Well, to get on, I just got the message from you, and I set up my account, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you. And yes, I will also be teaching the online course Angels in My Studio, and what it is, as Whitney has begun to explain, is it's an online course. You register, and we will have 10 artists doing 10 different art projects that are completely different. And we also have Michael Goldsman, who is an angel intuitive, and you will have access to have angel readings with him once a month in the whole 5-month period. And yes, Sherry Ann Ponzi is the one who started this whole thing, and I'm thrilled to be a part of that as well.
So I think, so Sherry Ann Ponzi did my online painting marathon. She did it, I don't know, maybe last fall. And she had done another online art program, and then she did my painting marathon, where instead of running 26 miles, we paint 26 paintings over and over the same canvas. So you can't get all attached and thinking, oh, this isn't going to be good, because you're like, oh, I'm going to paint over it, so I don't have to worry about it. And so that's how I got to know Sherry. And then all of a sudden, she's coordinated this amazing online art program that is so aligned with what I do right now, because it's all about connecting you to spirit. And really, that's the name of the game in 2012, I believe, because we can all be more authentically ourselves and move in the world and do the work that we're here to do more effectively when we're tapped into that energy. So I love just how all of this is coming together and meeting everybody. Another artist who is in the Angels in My Studio is Kristen Powers. And she and I and another artist friend, Nikki Shannon, just did a 24-hour paint-a-thon. Susan, I don't know if you did that a little bit or not. I know some people did 12 hours or, just painted as much as they could that day. But I was in my studio for 24 hours straight, and it was an amazing experience. I did it because why not, right? My husband and kids were out of town, and so it felt like a very unique opportunity, as that has never happened. And also, I wanted to see what would happen creatively, painting that long. I wanted to do something crazy enough that you all would check it out, why is she doing that? And what does that look like to be painting at hour 20? I did 13 or 14 YouTube videos that are on my YouTube channel at Creatively Fit, youtube.com/creativelyfit. And it was a lot harder than I thought, just the concept. You've been painting for 15 hours and you still have 9 more to go, and you're just oh my God. But it was amazing. And I mean, literally, I think there will be a part of me that will always think of my life as before the painting marathon and after the painting marathon. And we are going to set it up so that people can join us next time. We're setting up a website at either 24hourcreativity.com or 24hourjam.com. So I talked to a friend of mine who's a poet, and I'm so you could write a poem an hour for 24 hours. I'm that's a book, or that's a whole new blog, or whatever it is. It's an ebook, so it's so cook for 24 hours, bake cookies for 24 hours, or whatever it is that you're passionate about, do it for 24 hours and share it with the world. And just the creative energy that will create, so of course we have this image of people just all over the world doing what they love for 24 hours straight and sending all that out into the ethers and what that could do, right? So Susan, you'll have to join us for the next one. I would love that. It was really, really fun to see Kristen's work and to see just kind of cheer her on, and she had an amazing experience. And so it's just all about getting outside of our box, right? And all of us have to continue to do that all the time. If you feel at all, bored or stuck, all you have to do is something completely different than what you've been doing, and you will get unstuck, and you will get into new places, and you will experience new experiences, and really that is the way life is meant to be lived, right, is with this anticipation every day of, what's going to come up today? What do I get to do today? And that is awesome. And Susan, I can tell you have something to say, and Christine has to press the little button, and so I'm just talking away until she comes back. Oh, there she is. Because I'd love to hear, what you have to say about that. So let's pass it to Susan. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I got your message that you were doing that, and I kind of would have liked to have tried, but it just didn't work out for me for that particular thing. I've just had so much going on. But it sounds really interesting, and I agree with what you have to say, Whitney, about if you're feeling stuck, my philosophy is just do it anyway. So even if I'm not feeling particularly inspired or whatever, I just go to the canvas, or I go to my studio and I just begin creating, and then all of a sudden I find that I get sort of transported to this other place where something else takes over, and like you said as well, this course is so exciting for me, Angels My Studio, because it too is exactly what I'm plugged into, exactly what I do in my life, which is to access internal and spiritual information by being creative. And so, anyway, I'm thrilled to be a part of it, and I hope you'll think about joining. It's Angels. You can sign up at my site if you'd like, which is www.glittergypsy.com, and there's a link right there. But it's exciting.
I'm sorry to have disappeared on you. I had it's apartment living in New York City. I had a knock on my door, and it wouldn't go away. What was going on? There's a lot of stuff going on in my building, so I'm sorry I missed what was going on, but in concert with what you're saying, Susan, I think what we're all talking about is having access to a kind of a creative zone that's more expansive, and where it's the experience of kind of losing time, where you're so involved with what you're doing and creating that you're not even aware of the passage of time. And when we're in that space, all kinds of wonderful ideas come and things kind of just open up, which is what we all long for. And when we have this kind of a balance of right and left, it actually, now that we know more about the brain, we know that it actually opens things up and gives us access to the hindbrain, which is where all our creativity basically lives. In a nutshell, it's where we do kind of deep brain processing at night when we're dreaming. And if we can have access to that material while we're awake, that's essentially what being in the zone, being in a creative zone is. And one of the things is obviously painting. There are lots of things, but what we found out is that bilateral stimulation is one of the things that allows us to have access to the hindbrain, which is where all of our dreams lie and where creativity sits. And so you can have bilateral stimulation, which is any kind of right-left stimulation of your body. Right, left, right, left. So part of the reason why we feel so much better and have great new ideas when we're going out for a walk or for a run is because we're right-lefting, right, left, right, left. It has a profound effect. Now that we do brain scans, we know that it has a profound effect on the brain and gives us access to this deeper stuff, which is where we want to go. So one of the ways that Whitney does it, and it sounds like you do it, Susan, also is through painting, getting the two sides balanced. And one of the things that I do in my work as a trauma therapist, and also discovered that it enhances creativity, is to have sound that goes from right to left. So you put on headphones and listen to a soundtrack that has nature sounds that go, instead of being stereo, it oscillates back and forth very gently, right to left. You close your eyes and kind of take a journey into yourself. And so when we were at Esalen, we did that. We did painting and bilateral sound together. Oh my gosh, it was amazing what happened. So it looks like we have another guest coming. But anyway, I'm sorry I didn't mean to go on so much. Back to you, Whitney.
No, I think that's awesome. Christine's soundtrack, she is the author of the book Ignite the Genius Within, and that book comes with a bilateral soundtrack. And then she has a new bilateral soundtrack, which I am going to go buy after I get off this show at her website, which is ChristineRanck.com, R-A-N-C-K. And it is the most beautiful, soothing music. But literally what it is doing is helping to open up your mind to access kind of this infinite subconscious. And so you can put it on and literally just start journaling, or writing or painting or, putting together a business proposal or whatever it is that you do, any problem you have to solve. Any of you have problems to solve? I thought so. And so you can put on this bilateral soundtrack, and in the process, you will shift to a different way of thinking. I've also used it with my children. When they are get in a mood, or once my daughter just had a bad bug and she was miserable, and I'd say, do you want some right brain music? And she'd say, yeah, and she'd lie down and she'd go to sleep. And so it's really an amazing resource. And what I love about what's happening right now is that science and spirituality and creativity and all these different people that used to be coming from different angles are now meeting in the middle, because they're all discovering the same truth. They're all discovering that we really do create our own reality, which is quantum physics, which Christine knows a lot about, which I am totally fascinated about, and am determined for her and I to create a quantum physics 101 for everybody, because it's magic, and it totally confirms what I've been getting so excited to share with people about since '96, is that you are the artist of your life, and that what's happened is that our modern society has not promoted that to us. It's promoted this very linear, you do this, and then you do this, and then this will happen. Even though right now that has nothing to do with our world, because you could be here and then end up here and then way down here, and then you have to come back over to here, and so people are like, things aren't going the way they're supposed to go, right? It's okay. It's okay. You just have to take yourself out of that linear left brain format and understand that, in fact, everything's working out perfectly, and that, in fact, even though you don't understand it, you have the knowledge within you, and you have the ability to change and figure out, okay, how can I make the most of this type of thinking rather than this type of thinking?
I just wanted to share one little story, which is that once I learned about bilateral sound and began working with it, one of the very first dreams that I had was I had this incredibly wonderful dream. I'll never forget it. It still makes me weepy just thinking about it. I saw that huge room in the UN, again, this was a dream, not real, but that huge room that you see at the UN all the time, where all of the UN diplomats are having a conference. It's like a wedding cake, tiers of people. And so in my dream, it was that room, and every seat was filled with, in my case, in this dream, it was a man in a gray suit. But the miracle for me was that they were all wearing headphones and listening to the bilateral soundtrack. And so for me, it was the most exciting dream, because it suggested that there was hope, for a kind of a broader, more expansive way of thinking about things. So from my perspective, peace prevailed. And I know, Whitney, that one of your dreams also is to have everybody painting before a meeting, or especially the UN. I mean, what could be a better place to have that? So we're all, I'm sure, the same with you, Susan, we're all in the same kind of boat. It's like if we could get people to just open up and get into the zone before they make these big decisions on behalf of everybody else, I think the world could be changed quite a bit just from that kind of an opening.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's really interesting because I've never really been, I've always been a creative person, a sensitive person, kind of different, quote unquote. And I've never really been comfortable with that sort of linear path that sort of the mainstream conditions most of us, at least in my background, in my family, my education, kind of trains us to make decisions and make choices, live our lives in a very linear and logical type way. And I have always been very intuitive as well. And sometimes I would share the intuitive feelings, or, just those gut feelings with people. They would say, oh, no, that's just, that's not really happening, just follow the straight arrow kind of thing. And it hasn't been until, I'd say, maybe the past 10 or 15 years, as I have been painting consistently, creating things consistently, it really confirmed that for me and opened up this whole new world for me, so that I just, by being creative and listening to my intuition, I'm able to make better choices in my life. I feel confident about myself and my choices because they're like confirmed inside and by spirit, and it's just I feel that, you know, like you said earlier, Whitney, that we get to design our lives. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, here's the rule book, go ahead and do this, and you'll be fine. And I think really kind of poignant examples that solidified that for me in the past, you know, several years, as, you know, we had the first woman running for president. We had the first African-American president. We see huge banks and corporations and car industries, these big giants that we always thought would be around, and you got a job with them and you would be with them forever, and that would be security. And we found out, you know, that that is no longer the case. And so that just encourages me to forge my own path, my own life, do things the way I want to do, and really go into the zone, whether it's through my painting, my meditation time, my circle time with other women, but to really honor and ritualize those things so that they become more of a reality and more tangible to people, that, you know, that they realize they can access that information as well by very simple things. So, anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Beautifully put. Just beautifully put. We are absolutely 100% each of us responsible for creating our own lives, and if we don't do it, certainly no one else is going to do it for us. And it's your life. I don't know how many times I say that to people. This is your life. Make it the way you want. Make the choices that give you contentment and happiness, and you know, expand. Whitney, you look like you would like to say something.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so one thing that came to mind listening to Susan talk is another thing that happens when you shift from left brain dominant thinking to more whole brain thinking, and that's the element of feeling connected to everybody, feeling connected to those people around you, feeling more connected to you know, the greater human family as a whole, and with that, not only coming a responsibility to, you know, the whole, but also an amazing synergy that you allow to happen when you reach out and seek connectivity, realize that separation is an illusion, and that you can count on the right people showing up at the right time, or you can count on people to support you rather than looking at people as, you know, competition, or, you know, someone who would never understand, you know, where I'm coming from or something. When you look at it, and when you look at everyone as a future friend, you know, if you haven't even met them yet, they're a future friend, and then when people show up in your life and maybe they say something that is something you just thought about, you know, or something that you really resonate with. It's like that's all part of the whole working together, you know, and your opportunity to weave yourself into your dream and how that person might in fact be a part of that dream. So when I coach people, I have creatively fit coaches that I certify, and then I coach people, and I use art making again as kind of the action that we take, different action that miraculously still, it seems to me, the art making is like a mirror and reflects back to us the different steps or parts of our life, the way we do things that are getting us stuck or where we're meeting resistance. So in other words, when I'm teaching people, how to paint, if they're having a hard time deciding what to paint or they're afraid of messing something up, it's like, okay, how is that appearing in the art that is your life? And there's always a connection. So one of the big things, though, that I talk about with my clients is that, you don't have to figure it all out. What you can do is focus on what it is you want to create, right? Paint the picture in your mind of what you want your life to look like, what you want to see when you look out the window, what kind of job you want to arrive at when you get out of the car in the morning, whatever it is. But then know that it's going to happen. So this is very law of attraction, quantum physics. And then look for the clues. And the coincidences or the synchronicities that will start coming to you, literally because you're opening up, just like, in energy terms, like attracts like. So when you decide what it is you really, really, really want, then look for the clues. Instead of having to figure it out, it's like it's happening. It's happening. It's an unfolding. It's a revealing. It's a remembering. I used to co-own a wine bar in Nashville, and I would tell people that the reason I decided to join with the woman who became my business partner and opened a wine bar was literally all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, the wine bar is what helps get the book published. It was a remembering. And so I would always say to people, I loved being at the wine bar, and we're sipping our wine, and I'm like, did you know you can remember your future? And they'd be like, whoa. It's really, it's fun dinner table talk. But literally, when things seem familiar or when things get you really excited, you can just tell. Like, you could be talking about something, and then someone brings something up or something comes on TV or you open to a page in the magazine and you're like, oh, I love this. It's like, that is a clue, right? You're supposed to pay attention. Or you meet someone and it's like, I feel like I've known you forever. Well, maybe you have, but they're showing up right now and you're having that kind of resonance with them because they have some information to share with you. And so, there's so much that I've ended up doing in my life because it was like this attraction or this resonance that I felt, a remembering or a being willing to just have faith and follow where the clues seem to be leading, because our rational, logical mind cannot understand how you're going to get to that amazing dream that you've got in your head, because it involves new things, and your left brain is physiologically responsible for everything you already know, everything you've already done. So it can't even begin to comprehend the new things you're going to have to learn and the new people you're going to meet that are going to get you there. But your right brain is like, come on, strap it on, let's go. This is going to be fun. And so again, it's balancing the two. But what Susan was talking about, what it made me think of is, just opening up to the fact of like, what? I am going to choose to feel connected to the people around me and the people that come into my life rather than feeling like this separate entity. I am going to feel connected, and I am going to really link arms and share my needs, share my ideas, and then trust when someone says, hey, I know someone you should talk to. I'm going to call them, things like that. And it becomes this adventure, like a, treasure hunt, rather than this never-ending to-do list, right? So it's much more fun to live that way. I know Susan wants to say something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Whitney, and I guess I wanted to ask you, when you make those decisions, sometimes the people in your life don't necessarily like it, and that's something I'm still sort of like struggling with, like when I know something and I want to just, like you said, just strap it on and go for it. I sometimes let other people, maybe my family close to me, hold me back a bit. And I don't want to do that anymore. In fact, this year was my year to say yes to the universe. That was my mantra. And since then, I mean, I've got, you know, this online course coming up. I'm going to San Francisco to teach with Elizabeth Gibbons in San Francisco. In May, I'm going to San Miguel, Mexico in August to teach. And I have someone coming over to Honolulu, Tracy Verdugo. She's going to be teaching in my studio in Honolulu next January. So all of these alignments are happening. And I'll let you talk to Whitney, but it's just so exciting because I know it's real, I know it's important, and I'm doing it, but this little guilt trip person in me, being a wife and mother and all that, help me with that one, Whitney. I'm ready to get your advice.
Yeah, no, I was just saying I'll come to Honolulu and teach too. That's all. I wasn't raising my hand, but I love this question because I am living the same. I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, and so I do have some great advice for that. And so really, what it is that again that left brain, logical, linear, judgmental, critical voice is what has had the platform in our world. It's the dominant voice. It is the voice of reason, and it is the practical voice, and it will always assume, because it's also ego-based and fear-based and all that, it will always assume that it's right and you're wrong. Anything that threatens it, right? And so we've been living with that, even if it's really subtle, you know, even if it's so subtle little jabs. And I mean, I have fabulous, amazing left brain parents, right? So I get this, and I've had to deal with it, you know, throughout my career. So a couple things. One is realizing that not only when we're here among other, you know, whole brainers, but also when we're around other left brainers, that our way of doing things and being in this world is just as valid. I mean, we just have to, like, give ourselves the pep talk of, yes, that logical voice sounds really you know, logical, right? And what I'm saying isn't logical. And it's like, of course it's not. That's how any kind of radical change, any kind of revolution, any kind of evolution, any kind of breakthrough happens from illogical thought, right? Because it's new. So it's kind of like we just have to keep filling ourselves with the fact that this is how things happen. This is how new things happen. This is how anyone that, you know, breaks records or changes the world we live in, they defied that left brain logic in those people somewhere along the way too. Or instead of, you know, using the word defy, it's more of a like, yes, you know, I respect and value your perspective, and I also respect and value my perspective, and with them both together, that's where the balance is. And so it's a mutual respect, and then it's like you said, it's following that feeling inside. You know, the energy in every cell of your body will tell you what it is you really should do, and it requires bravery, and it requires overcoming fear, and it requires doing things differently and having people look at you a little cockeyed. But then it's rooting yourself in that knowledge that this way of moving in the world is absolutely just as valid. And not only that, our world is depending on it right now. Like, the way we've been doing things isn't working. So we need the more and more like creative, divergent energy that we can get on this planet. That is what we need. That is what is going to lead to the breakthroughs. So there's that. And then I have 3 children that are 12, 10, and 8. And, you know, they don't like it when I go out of town. And I tell them, I said, you know, I'm sorry, but you have a mama on a mission. And I hope someday that you have a mission and that you are able to figure out way to continue to pursue your mission and love your family and do it all together, because you each, I know my children are amazing, right? And they each have fabulous skills and abilities that they are going to have to take out into the world. And I don't want them to take it out and then stop. Right? So it's like I'm setting an example for them, and I'm also setting an example for how their crazy life is going to be because of this shift that we're making from the linear to the this, I'm like, your life is going to be like a blank canvas. It is not going to be like a multiple choice test. And that is what I am living, and it's fabulous. So it's hard, right? Because the current's been going one way for a long time, and we're trying to turn the boat around and make some progress going the other way. So there's going to be that, that resistance as we turn. But I don't know. It's like, so then we're all going to move a totally different direction, or however that metaphor pans out, but we're in the middle of this tremendous shift, and really, I've been saying this to myself in my own, world in life, is like I have just got to speak up and hold my ground, and model for my children, and be true to myself, because I'm creating great change, and the world needs it, and that logical energy is fabulous, but it's not it. It can't stop there, because then we just all stop. So I feel for you, and for anyone else out there dealing with that, with those people in their lives that are, rolling their eyes or not being supportive. We really need to support each other, and go to glittergypsy.com. Is that it? I love that. And or creativelyfit.com. Find us on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Whitney Ferre. And let us all cheer each other on and support each other, and help make this voice recognizable. There was a Harvard Business Review newsletter that went out sometime last year, and so Harvard Business Review, right? And it said that unless, as a business person, you are not choosing to follow your gut instincts, at least from time to time, that you are going to miss out on some huge business opportunities. I don't know if it actually said the word intuition, but every month you see the world opening up more and more and more to the value of intuitive thinking. I spoke with a gentleman this summer who is a scientist in Seattle, and he and I had such a fun conversation about delusional thinking. And, as a scientist, right, he's like, you've got to have delusional thinking. That's the only way you're going to find the answer, find the solution, So it's like delusional thinking sounds like, oh, delusional, that's not good. It's like, that is where all the newness and all the solutions come from. So it's building up that, those kind of fortifications to make us stronger, to say, I hear you, and I value what you're saying, and I'm going to take some of those things into account. But I'm going to move in the world the way I move in the world, because if I don't, I'm not going to be happy. If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right?
Susan, if I could, I'm totally in agreement with everything Whitney just said, and I wanted to add to that. Science now, and science and spirituality are so coming together, and science is telling us that we are literally swimming in an ocean of energy around us, and that everything is connected, and that we're all connected, and that we all have that we all contain the universe within us, because that's where we came from. We came from the Big Bang, and all of that star stuff is what we're made of. So, but one of the things that I tell my clients is that our outside life it looks and feels like it's out there happening to us, but actually, now that we know what we know about the brain, and so much of science is telling us that really it's our brain just interpreting electrical signals when we look out there and we see stuff. And our brain is interpreting things based on what we've known before and what we've been taught since we were children. It's very hard for us to see things that are new because the brain doesn't know what it is, so it just ignores it. There's so much that we block out. But the reason I'm mentioning that is because the outside, our outside, is not so much an outside, it's more of a reflection of what's inside. That the universe for each of us is individual and contains our own beliefs and our own projections, and is really just a gigantic mirror of what's going on inside. So, for example, there's so much that's going on in your life that's positive that says so much about what's going on inside of you, that there are a lot of things that you have obviously worked through, and you're pursuing the thing that you really want to do, and so on. And so anyone outside of you who delivers a message, it's really a message from you to you. It's not them, it's you talking to yourself. There's some little niggling voice inside of you that still is in agreement with those kinds of comments like, oh, you're crazy, and so on. So it sounds like you're working your way through that because it's a small voice. It's a relatively small voice. But when you overcome your own, when you overcome the conflict inside yourself, those voices won't happen anymore. So I guess the question is, where does that voice come from? And chances are that it's some version of something that was something in childhood, that's some negative thing, some negative belief that you still have a little aspect of that gets activated whenever you hear these negative things. So I'm just throwing that out as a possibility to think about these messages that you don't have to listen to anymore, and especially if you figure out where they come from inside of you and what the history of that message might be, so that you can kind of work with it and see if it really works for you anymore.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice because it's true. I feel happier. I feel more passionate and excited and jazzed up when I'm, creating, and also when I'm around my creative, kooky friends and, just people who you can kind of have those, whatever type conversations with that are just so fun. You're laughing and joking and sharing everything, no matter how crazy it sounds or funny or whatever. And that's when I'm most alive, most vibrant, and most happy. And you're absolutely right, though, Christine. It's like, I can totally tell you it's like my parents, who are very wonderful, but they are very much, left brain thinkers. And that's what I was brought up with. That's what everybody did. And fortunately for me, I have this wonderful role model of a great aunt, Helen, who is now passed on. But she was the gypsy in our family, and she was the one who wore fur coats and lots of jewelry and traveled around the world and told stories. And she's the one, thank heavens, who allowed me to realize that, good, I can be like that too if I want, and it doesn't matter really if other people get me. This is who I am, and this is who I want to be. And so as I've gotten older, my confidence has certainly gone up. But certainly there are moments, Christine, where I hear those old voices for sure.
Yeah, we all have those voices, and they can be very powerful. But if you think about the child who absorbed that and the situations in which you heard whatever you heard, you're not good enough, or that's crazy, or there are any number of versions of that. And as children, we take that in. But if you think about it as an adult, if you heard that, you wouldn't be so susceptible. It's children who are susceptible to those messages, and we can really work with that and help that child to sort of break out so that she's not so vulnerable to those kinds of messages anymore. And the fact that you have this aunt who's been such a powerful influence on you, obviously if the outside reflects the inside, then she too is just a huge and enormous influence and a part of you that you're starting to absorb and act out in your own life. So the fact that she's there, it's like a message, again, it's a message from you to you to follow your passion and go where you want, and the heck with them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I have to say, because I'm so excited about this event, and I know that there are so many people out there who are hungry for this kind of energy and support, and really want to get on the other side of being at I want to do these things to I am doing these things, like Susan, you are already doing, of course. And so I have to let you all know about an amazing experience that I've created along with my partner, a retreat just outside of Portland that's coming up this April. It's going to be April 20th through the 22nd, that weekend, and it's called The Journey. And the website is journeycreatively.com. And it's all about the fact that we are all on a journey, right? And it's more of an adventure than a how-to manual, right? I mean, it is an epic, amazing, up and down, peaks and valleys, excitement and challenges and all of that. It is a journey, and we want to help amplify your creativity and your spirituality so that you can really embrace and accelerate your journey the way you want to. And so we have over 20 presenters coming from all over the country. Actually, Adriana Atento is coming from Hawaii, and Carrie Garner-Venter is coming from South Africa. And we have amazing people who do energy work, who do movement, who do coaching from a creative side, creative thinking. I'm going to be doing the painting journey and the artist within journaling. We are going to walk labyrinths. We are going to light sky lanterns. We are going to do group meditation. It is going to be the most incredible event, and the most amazing people are going to be there. And it's really, really affordable. I mean, it's like we've made it so cheap, and everyone's coming on their own dollar. We're not paying anyone. I mean, we just really want to provide an opportunity for people to just immerse themselves in this kind of support and energy and creativity and spirituality, so that you can go back out into your journey and just meet it head on and create the life that you want. And so again, that's coming up April 20th to the 22nd. It's journeycreatively.com. And tomorrow night, this is like multimedia week, tomorrow night we're doing a webinar with Keith Allen Kay. And Keith is the genius behind fractalenergymandala.com. Hi, Kimberly. And Keith is a total rock star. Like, he's doing projects with the Chopra Center. He's amazing. 13,000 people on his Facebook page. I mean, he is amazing. And he heard about the journey through Bill and I, and was like, I want to be there. And he is going to be there the entire time. He's teaching his awakened imagination. He does very, very cool stuff. And on the webinar tomorrow night, he's going to do a 30-minute awakened imagination. It's a mind journey. I'm very excited because I love mind journeys. And so if you find me on Facebook up here, you can get the information about the webinar, or email me from creativelyfit.com. And I'm just wondering if I even have the link on the journeycreatively.com. I will as soon as I get off. So join us on the webinar. We're going to have a special offer that you won't want to miss to register for the journey, and Keith is giving specials and all that webinar stuff. But really, I think, again, I came into 2012. This time last year, I was freaking out because I had all these, coincidences, synchronicities, messages, the universe saying, lead with the spiritual benefits of getting creatively fit. And I was like, oh, really? No. I'm totally comfortable with just kind of keeping that on the back burner and knowing that spiritual growth will be a part of people's experience with me. But I was being told people need to know this. And so as soon as 2012 hit, January 1st, we launched the Spirit Project and the Journey. And it's like, this is the year for all of us to really team up and amplify our spirit voices. And so I'm so excited about that. Kimberly right here is going to be on the journey, and she is my spiritual coach and guru, and very excited that she is in my life. And so we should turn it over to Kimberly and let her share with us.
I don't know if this is working. It's not showing on my end. Hi. Yeah. Okay, good. So any moment my children might come into the room. I was laughing, Susan, the conversation going on, because I have been spending almost an hour trying to get my family out of the room so that I could come on here. This is awesome, this whole conversation. Gosh, I don't know what you want me to talk about other than I'm really excited about the journey. I'm excited that I've been invited to present there. Whitney asked, and I'm very, very honored to do that. What else can I say? I've got all kinds of things in my mind from all the conversations you all have been talking about. I love quantum physics too, so yay.
A question about, did I show my painting? Yes, I did, but in a minute I'm going to show it again. So it's one of my, it's a pride and joy of mine. But Kimberly, do you want to talk a little bit about the work that you do? We'd be delighted to hear from you if you would like.
So what I do, as Whitney is experiencing, I am an intuitive healer, and I also base everything that I do in shamanism, because that is my main background in terms of how I process with people. We do a lot of really intensive lovely painting. We do a lot of intensive one-on-one work together. We do a lot of exploring of past lives, because I really tend to see people on their soul level. I look at the bigger picture of the patterns that is happening for them. And so we're not only processing energetically and emotionally, spiritually, what's going on in this lifetime, but we're looking at what your other lifetimes that are most relevant to this one, that are influencing it, into a chord together. I'm very, very big about bringing things into dynamic balance, or what I call passionate equanimity, so that we're more empowered in our lives, and that we can have that unshakable soul, I like to call it. No matter what storm comes at us, we're able to ride through that and be our own port in the storm. That's kind of in a nutshell. Whitney, as you know, it's kind of hard to put into simple words, because there's a lot that we do. There's a lot that we go into.
Well, I can say, part of what I love, there's so much about what I love about my journey right now, but I do believe, Christine can attest to the fact that we're all made up of energy at our most basic level, that energy does not go away, right? So that means we existed before we were this. And so learning more about our energy, our spirit, and why we love what we love, why we're having the experiences that we're experiencing, or the challenges that we're having, and putting it into a broader context by including past lives, future lives, which, as Kimberly always reminds me, is nonlinear and everything's happening at once, which I can barely wrap my mind around. But again, it opens you up to really the reality of the infinite potential that we have access to, and so it fortifies your conviction. Like what Susan was describing. She feels like she has to do what she's doing, and her journey most recently has been about claiming that and doing it and saying yes and opening up, and so what it does for me is really give me more confidence and more kind of a grounding in how I really feel. So when I started working with Kimberly, it was in October, right before I went to the African Creativity Conference, and I told her, I said, I know I'm supposed to, which seems funny now because this is like all I do, right, but I know I'm supposed to amplify my spirit voice. Like, I know this. I mean, I have been being hit over the head with this. I know I'm supposed to meditate daily. I'm not doing that, I know that there is this huge thing that I am supposed to really lean into, and in my current situation, I'm not getting not necessarily the support, but I needed more support on that side, right? Because like Susan, it's not what everyone wants to talk about around the dinner table. I'm getting better at, making sure we talk about that around the dinner table, but I needed more, more people in my corner like that. And so since working with Kimberly and everything that was already in motion, I mean, I've just experienced quantum leaps in my own spirit energy. It's like it just got turned up, right? And instead of apologizing for it or wasting time and energy feeling guilty about it, it's like, what just happened? Sorry. Okay, my screen just disappeared. Instead of making apologies or kind of sweeping it under the rug, which Kimberly will laugh because that was something she had told me, I'm really owning it. And it's a huge shift. I mean, I'm sure if I did this TV show, 8 months ago compared to now, my tone of voice would be totally different. I mean, I am like, darn it, I have got amazing things to share with the world, and I just get so excited to inspire people, and I'm just like all full steam ahead, and so I think that's really what we're all doing, what we're all talking about, and what we're all, the angels in my studio project is like, let's bring the angels in, instead of keeping them out there like there's something else. Like, they are right here with us, and we know that energetically, quantum physics, everyone who's ever existed, right? Everyone who's ever existed is part of us. And this ancient wisdom, like wisdom from centuries ago, is in us. Everything is within us. And so what Kimberly does and what Christine does, and I know what Susan does, I mean, we're all saying the same thing, right? We're saying, yes, follow that intuition, like take the initiative, take the steps that seem scary, because really there's nothing to be scared about. And so that's what we're all doing, right? And so whether you can connect with us all, online, on Facebook, in person, which is always lovely, like at the Journey, I mean, gosh darn it, people, you really need to come. It's going to be magical, and we're so excited about it. Yeah, Kimberly's going to be there. Amazing people are going to be there. So go to journeycreatively.com and look at the website, and they're beautiful pictures, graphics, makes me happy. And so Christine, I mean, thank you for doing this. Not that we need to wrap up or anything, but I mean, I think this format too of us all being here is really wonderful and reflective of how people can come together from all over the country and have a conversation like this. Is amazing. So Kimberly, do you have...
This technology is just absolutely stunning. And I just, when my friend described it to me, I just couldn't believe that it could be possible. But I guess that's the way I felt about cell phones, that I remember hearing about somebody who got their email from their cell phone. I just couldn't believe that either. So that was years ago, right? But I wanted to say about you, yes, you're more enthusiastic, but you that is your nature, Whitney. You're always like this. So don't let her fool you that she's suddenly all new, because this is just the way she is, and your energy is just so incredibly infectious and wonderful, and always has been. So the fact that you're so inspired is just great for everybody. So, yeah. Susan.
Hi, I'm going to have to go to another appointment, but I just wanted to thank you all for having me on and giving me this opportunity to be here and to gain your wisdom and to sort of share my vision and my struggles at the same time. I'm really, really honored, and I too am just tickled to be here, Christine, because, the fact that I'm seeing myself is like a miracle, because I'm so technologically challenged. I set this whole thing up in like 20 minutes, but anyway, I'm thrilled that it works, because now I know that I can do it if I want to. It's another tool. But I do have to go, like I said, and so if I could, I'd like to once again ask people if you could please check me out at glittergypsy.com, and Facebook, I'm Susan Conrad Rissa, and I will be teaching in the online course with Whitney beginning May 1st. There's a link on my webpage to sign up for Angels in My Studio, and we'd love to have you. In fact, I've got a spot that I'd like to give away for free for that course. And so if you visit my website today and you leave a comment about why you feel Angels in My Studio is right for you, you can have a chance to win a free 5-month course. So thank you, ladies, and have a wonderful day. This has been really fun.
Thank you so much, Susan, for coming on. It was really terrific to have you, and you added so much to our conversation. So, and it is amazing. It's just amazing. So, thank you. I hope we'll all be able to get together again at some point, because I'm doing these talk shows now every week, and every week I'm trying to get better at it, first of all, and also get these great conversations going. And I think we've been very successful at that. And I'm going to give the floor back to you, Whitney. I just wanted to say that one of my favorite definitions of being human comes from a great quantum physics guy. His name is Russell Targ. He actually was one of the people who helped to discover the laser beam. And what he says is that we are each and every one of us non-local awareness residing temporarily in a physical body. And what non-local awareness means is it's actually consciousness is what he's talking about, but non-local is a quantum physics term that actually means kind of spread out all over everywhere, instead of localized, like having an address. Like you and I have an address, a street address where we live, but we also have an aspect of ourselves that is much broader than that. That's what we're talking about today, and that is our non-local sense. So, for example, the internet. If you take the internet is somewhere. It's on your computer right now. In fact, we're on a URL address, but also the internet is sort of everywhere. It's like, where is the internet? Where is the internet? It's sort of out there. All this information is kind of floating around, and it's everywhere. And that would be the non-local. So the internet, for example, it has an address, and it also has an everywhere. It's a somewhere and an everywhere. And each and every one of us is exactly that, a somewhere and an everywhere. We are in a solid body. We have a brain that thinks and logic and all that, but we also have this very expansive aspect to ourselves that's positively magic. And when you remember that we are only here for a little while in a body, the physical body that embodies this other consciousness, the more we can tap into it, the more exciting life can become. And it can be so different. Things can be so different than they are right now. Whitney?
Yeah, that's so powerful what you just said, because I know, there are so many people out there that are really not excited about where they are right now. You know, and just to give everyone hope, you know, that it could literally be a step away. It could be taking just, you know, a slightly divergent step to the right or left, just like, you know, I talk about people, a fork in the road. You know, you take a couple small steps one direction and you're not that far away from where you just were, right? Because you're at the beginning of the fork, so it's not going to look that different at first, right? But every time you add a step, by the end, you know, you're totally polar opposite places. And so really it's just creating any kind of small change, doing something different, you know, reaching out, taking any of the, you know, myriad of ideas that we've just thrown at you, just taking one, you know, like I choose to be love-based today, or I choose to do something different, or I choose to open up to the fact that I create my reality. And then there are so many ways that you can introduce new activity into your life to further create that divergence in the road. And you will end up in a dramatically different place. You know, you can do whatever you want. And that's exciting. And, you know, Christine empowers people one way, and Kimberly empowers people another, and I do it another, but we're all really doing the same thing, and it's about empowering you. You know, it's not about we've got this answer, and if you plug into what, you know, we're saying do what we do, it's not that. It's tools. It's learning different tools, just like we've been taught different things. Like we were taught the math tables, you know. We were taught how to fill in the bubble completely, you know. We were taught how to outline and do timelines and all these things. Well, we can be taught how to fire our intuition and how to generate that and how to amplify that. We can be taught how to dream big and then let the opportunities attract to us, you know, like law of attraction. We can learn these new things. It doesn't mean that it's instant or easy, or that you're going to go from this to like this instantly, but with any series of small steps, so much can be different. And so that is what is super exciting. And Kimberly, I don't know if you want to say anything else. I love just the name of your business, right? Unshakable Soul. I think that imagery is so fabulous, and just to picture that, you know, that nothing can shake me, right? And so maybe that you could lead in with that.
One of the things that I did want to say, because I have to go too, I'm navigating a few things here. But I wanted to add to and touch on a little bit of everything I've heard you guys talking about. We're talking about the oneness and coming together, and Christine, you've really beautifully articulated our scientific perspective with quantum physics and how that's all bringing into the vision of oneness. And I want to mention to people out there, because I can understand this, as Whitney touched on this, people out there who might be having a hard time. I think there's a lot of people who've been having really, really challenging times. Maybe you have for some time, and especially in the last couple of years. We all know things are really, really generating a lot of shift right now. And it might seem like really stepping outside your comfort zone, maybe, to go to a space where you're going to be around a lot of people. Or it's something really different than what you've done before. Or maybe you think, I've done all that already. All these different angles of how we can look at it in terms of coming together. And I just wanted to point out that if you're having a hard time, or like Whitney's saying, those baby steps of creating change in your life, this is a really amazing way to do it at something like the journey. Because when people come together and we bring into unity all of even the struggle we're going through, or the wonderful things that we're creating as we're shifting into and having breakthroughs and all this. But when we all come together, that's how we really create those amazing shifts energetically that change the world. And I firmly believe that together we all create our world. And that's what we're doing at the journey. We're coming together to really show that we can manifest that shift and that change. And I cannot wait to see what we all do while we're there. And I'd like people out there right now who are watching this to consider being a part of that in whatever small way come and bring yourself and be a part of it. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Kimberly. It was so great to have you. You have such a great energy and wisdom and calm about you. It's really great. It's just great. Thank you so much. You had so much to offer. Really nice of you to come. I hope we'll again all come back together again at some point. And that's a wonderful point you made about that there are lots of people suffering and feeling like they don't know what the next step is. But it's sort of like all of the answers are already there inside of you. We're not telling you anything that on some level you don't already know. You just don't quite know how to access what's inside of you. And we've all, I think, in varying ways given you some ideas about how to access what's already there. And the other thing I just wanted to say, one little tip is that if I hear something twice, if I hear about a book or a meeting or a conference or a person more than once from two different sources, I always follow up, always, because I feel like that is a message to me. And it's not a message from out there. It's actually a message. The way I think about it is it's a message from me to me. I'm just becoming aware of it. I'm taking it in. I'm hearing it from the outside, sources, but it's really for me and from me. And it's from some place that I wasn't aware of, but it's coming out, and I absolutely must follow it. And I want to suggest that you, at least if there's, one rule to follow, that would be a great one, because those messages are powerful, and they will lead you in a direction where anything can happen, and life is really an adventure when you look at it that way. So I think maybe we should think about closing. I don't know, Whitney, if you would like to say some more, but I'm just going to turn over the thing to you for one more time, and then we'll say goodnight.
Yeah, no, this has been amazing, and I'm so glad to just, have the opportunity to talk about these things. It feeds my soul too, right? To hear from everybody and to focus on what I, love to share with people. And so I just want to thank you, Christine, for getting this together and getting us on the air, saying, okay, we're going to do it now. And again, I just am so excited for everyone to really, in 2012, really open up to your creative genius within, because truly it's there. And like Christine said, it could be just hearing the same thing twice and taking action. It could be something really, really small that really starts to open it up for you, just like a crack in the door that lets the light in, and just keep opening that and keep letting more and more light in, and you will create a totally different reality for yourself. And if any of us can help, all you have to do is let us know. So thank you. And I have a newsletter at creativelyfit.com. Would love for you to sign up. I have an ebook about 7 ways to get into your right brain, which are very simple to do, and would love to stay connected.
Okay, thanks, honey. Thank you, doll. It was great to have you, and thank you to everybody who's been listening. We really appreciate it. I just want to tell you that this Get Ignited series is hopefully going to be on every Wednesday night with great guests and great conversation. So if you're listening and you liked it, please consider coming back. And I think once you're on the Yacket board, you'll get reminders having signed in about talks that are coming up. So thank you, and once again, thank you, Yacket, for letting us have the privilege of testing and working on this marvelous technology that's positively magical. So good evening. Thanks again, girlfriend. And please, all of you, go outside, go out your door, have a dream, get ignited. Good night.